So, like a year and some change ago, I went no contact with a very close friend who was also a love interest, who I had what can only be described as an incredibly intimate, emotionally intense companionship with. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it was either. I feel like every time I talk about this situation in therapy, I spend like a good 45 seconds trying to tee up the relationship and find the right words to describe what it was and what it wasn't. Because I'm like, we weren't dating, but we also were not just friends. But I wouldn't call it a situationship because we never hooked up. My friends and I were trying to get the word celibatuationship to catch on for a second there because I feel like there's a lot under that little umbrella that we could discuss here. I literally ramble on about this. My therapist is like, girl, I know, I've been here the whole time. You can just say you dated. And I'm like, okay, period. That is much easier. And I'm not giving up on celibatuationship. I still feel like that could be huge for the culture. Anyways, it doesn't really matter what it was or what it wasn't. What matters is that it was significant to me, and now it is over. I've intentionally been pretty vague whenever I've referenced my no contact crush because it's not something I'm looking for advice on or judgment about. And to be frank, I wouldn't change a single part of how everything happened. I wouldn't change a single part of how I showed up, and I wouldn't change a single thing about him either. I have nothing inside my heart but love for him, and that's how I will remain. Sometimes you find someone that should be so right for you on paper, but still it doesn't work out how you hoped it would. We're all healing from different pasts, grappling with understanding what kind of love we think we deserve, if we have the capacity to pour into someone else's cup, or if we need to pour into our own twofold. Some things just don't align. C'est la vie. In hindsight, even through the moments of pain I've had, I still believe it all happened the way it was meant to. That I met the right person at the right time to learn the right things I needed to about myself, my capacity for love, and about what it is I want beyond this point. He made me feel understood and truly cared for. Seriously, being his friend was like an exhale. He was someone who I felt truly at ease with. We shared something beautiful, and it's right that the beautiful thing ended. I think too often in endings, we feel we have to come to some final resolution about how this person wasn't actually as great as we thought they were. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that is absolutely the truth. But there's also a world where things really were wonderful, but the time has run its course. And listen, I get it. It's a new world for me too, feeling so light and lovely about someone that I'm not speaking to anymore. I can't say this is typical for me either. But for me, it's like a spin on another phrase that I don't love. Right person, wrong time. I don't believe in that for two reasons. One, I believe we can have many right people. And two, with the right person, it's always the right time. But I think often people use this phrase to talk about being misaligned with someone that feels truly significant to them. And I wonder how people's feelings would change if they allowed themselves to feel that this person truly was the right person, but that we can have many right people, and that maybe it was the right time, but that sometimes the right time is actually quite fleeting, and that's okay too. I wonder how different people would feel if they allowed their feelings to be as expansive as they really are, rather than forcing them into smaller boxes, convincing ourselves we felt less, that it was less significant, making it into something easier for other people to swallow. So, listen, I get it. I'm a sap, I'm a romantic, I'm a lover girl in the truest sense. Go on, you can roll your eyes at me, really, it's fine. I've accepted that at this point. But I really believe that everything happened how it was meant to. He was one of my right people in a fleeting right time. And I look back at it all fondly. Mostly just feel proud of myself, even if it didn't play out how I hoped it would. But regardless, this confessional really isn't about the relationship itself, but rather about everything I've felt since we stopped talking. They're so stupid cute. It's ridiculous. Matcha is made. Hair is freshly done. Aura ring blending in with all of my rings seamlessly. I told you guys that I got an Aura ring recently and I've been loving it. But one of the things that you can do on the Aura ring app is log different tags. So you can log when you have caffeine, when you have alcohol, when you have a headache, when you have sex, if you have acne, so many different things. that you can log and track additional data points with. And you know what? I was shocked to discover they didn't have a masturbation tag on there. I felt like if they have the sex tag, why wouldn't they have the masturbation tag? It just feels like, why wouldn't you have both of them? Anyways, it doesn't matter. You can add tags yourself. So that is one of the first tags that I added to my own Oura Ring. And I can neither confirm nor deny how often it has been logged since doing that. But what I can tell you is I've been consuming a lot of really incredible spicy content over on Cheeks. So Cheeks, of course, is a 3-in-1 sexual wellness platform that has erotic films, spicy audios, and educational content as well to sort of satisfy any kind of sexual content urge that you might be interested in. Lately, I've really been loving the audio erotica over on Cheeks. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of audio erotica. You really cannot and should not underestimate the power of having a fantasy delivered straight into your ears. You can close your eyes and just visualize and totally immerse yourself in it. I'm telling you, if you haven't gotten into audio erotica yet, you better. There's this one called Sauna Seduction that I listened to earlier this week that I was fully into. Having sex in a sauna is one of those things that, like, as a fantasy, it sounds really awesome. In practice though, I might die. I'm intrigued nonetheless, okay? And they also have a really diverse library of various erotic films as well. And you can feel good about consuming them because Cheeks makes sure that all of their adult films are based on fair pay, legal, and ethical working conditions, which just results in much more authentic, diverse, and pleasurable scenes for all of us to enjoy. And yeah, on top of their spicy content, they also have some sex ed content as well, which I'm a huge proponent of. So anyways, if you're interested in checking them out, you can try Cheeks for free for 7 days as a new customer with an annual subscription when you use code Maddie7 at checkout or at the link in the description down below. I don't think I've ever really had to move on from someone that I didn't have anything negative to say about. Like, as much as it is a good thing to walk away from something on good terms with someone, it's also like way harder to figure out how to move on from that. I don't know. That's not to say that we were both perfect people and that I was never angry or, you know, that all of my feelings around this have been light and airy. Yes, I've had my own moments of anger and hurt throughout all of this. Obviously, I've said that the idea of moving on is something that sometimes feels a little abstract to me. And I say that because I feel like a lot of the media and general conversation around moving on, there are like clear markers of progress in moving on. And I feel like a lot of those markers are about slowly caring less and less and less and less until eventually you don't care at all. Except that's never gonna be me. I don't need to get rid of my care or get rid of my admiration or get rid of the love I feel for someone in order to move on with my life. I can hold space for all of it. Like, my heart just wasn't fucking built for moving on in that girl boss sense. It just wasn't. And I don't want to be like that. I have no aspiration to be like that. I don't envy people who are like that. I would rather find a way to live with all of it, to make room for everything that I feel, rather than trying to get rid of it and have that be the marker of progress. To me, it's less about getting rid of how you feel and more about morphing it into something that looks a little different, but is not void of the emotions that you once felt for someone. Like, I don't need to erase the people that I have loved before now just because it didn't work out. May it have been a love interest or a friend or a mentor or whoever. I don't need to erase the impact that people have had on my heart in order to move on from them. I don't want to have to pretend like I wasn't impacted by someone in order to have truly moved on in the eyes of other people. I don't want to amputate parts of myself in pursuit of finalizing an ending. I guess in my eyes, I would rather invite in more feeling rather than eradicate it from my being, make it more complicated, more nuanced instead of less. If someone asks me if I've moved on, I don't want to have it in my heart to answer, yeah, whatever, I'm over it. And that's not about preserving how I feel about this specific person. It's actually not about them at all. It's about me. It's about making sure I continue to love like this again and again and again, making sure I never become jaded or bitter and that I can remain truthful to who I am, the kind of heart that I have. It's about preserving myself. If someone asks me if I've moved on, my answer will always be, well, that's kind of a longer conversation. I don't long to be understood shortly. I don't wish to shrink my feelings into easily consumed responses to show everyone that I'm winning the I don't give a fuck Olympics. I've withdrawn myself from that race. It's not one that I would feel proud of winning. To catch feelings is always going to be a calculated risk, and in this case, it was one I was willing to take. I understood from the start to the end that I was taking a risk in making myself that vulnerable. The difference here is just that I wasn't scared of things not working out. That it working out wasn't the part that mattered to me. It was the journey, it was the feeling, it was the knowing, it was the exploring. And I won't allow myself to feel shame if it not working out is the way it's supposed to go. I actually think people would feel much more at ease in their bodies if they allowed themselves to accept that good things can end too, that sometimes good things should end. And I think this is why it's been hard for me to emotionally identify when it is that I'm officially moved on in the eyes of other people, because I still feel sweetly, and I think I'll always feel sweetly. And that's because I found my own peace with it. It just looks quite different than anything I've ever seen modeled for me. All right, we get it, but why did you go no contact? To be honest with you, I think going no contact, at least initially, is always the right call, regardless of circumstance. It's just hard to really process the ending of something in your body without addressing how intertwined you are and removing that, at least for a period of time. Like, there's just no difference if you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's done, whatever it is over, but we're still gonna fall asleep on the phone every night, so like, what is the fucking difference at some point? And sometimes, and this is a light call out because I've been guilty of this too, but sometimes I think we avoid cutting off that contact to sort of avoid processing the pain and disappointment of that ending. Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, we can be best friends and we can continue talking all the time, and I'm actually totally fine with that. Yeah, don't worry about me. Totally cool with that. But deep down, maybe that's not quite how you feel, if you were being honest with yourself. But in order to be honest with yourself, you'd have to embrace the pain and disappointment that you feel in acknowledging totally that it is over, and the hope that you had for this thing being what you want it to be is now done. You're just putting it off to a later date, really, because it's going to come for you eventually, and this isn't even shade, because been there, done that. But it is so much easier to really process the end and recalibrate when you give yourself a little bit of distance to like reset and feel everything completely. Why is there always an ice cream man? Constantly, every time I'm trying to film. To go no contact was the most supportive thing we could have done for each other. It really was a choice rooted in care. At least in my situation, we talked really openly and frequently about our feelings and this hypothetical us. Honestly, clarity was abundant in this relationship, but knowing that we were misaligned actually didn't stop either of us from pouring into one another. And when we decided to go no contact, it was us acknowledging that fact. Oh my God, here we go again. Like, does it ever end? To go no contact was the most compassionate choice for both of us in making sure that we got what we needed, even if it wasn't what we wanted. And when he left my apartment the night that we came to this conclusion, we were standing in my door frame. Both very clearly had been crying. Not the most gorgeous I've ever looked, for sure. And he looks down at my doormat that reads "happier than ever" and says, "What a stupid fucking doormat." Which obviously made me laugh at the time, but it was also kind of like cinematically tragic in a way. I don't know, seemed to highlight to me how like sad and disappointing all of it was, but how truly rooted in compassion it was as well. Like, I don't know, to look at each other and just be like, fuck, this sucks, but we're gonna do it anyways. Fuck that stupid Matt. I was heartbroken, but I was also deeply certain that we had made the right decision. And something you'll learn about me is that once something is decidedly over, it is over. I am not the type of girl to break no contact. I am not the type of girl that's gonna get drunk and call you and forget everything that we discussed. I'm not impulsive. I won't make impulsive choices. It's important to me that I keep promises that I make to myself, that I stick to my word. So once we decide that it's over, for me, it is. So that's what we did. We went no contact and we stuck to being no contact, and I really can't emphasize enough how beneficial that space was for me in really processing all that I was feeling. I think that is a major contributor to why I'm able to feel more positively about everything now, a year and some change later. I wouldn't call us no contact anymore, though we're definitely not close like we used to be. I mean, it's not like we're in contact, it's just that there's not like a hard and fast rule about speaking to each other. But I've seen him fairly recently. Oh, does this girl look weird? And to be honest, when I did see him in person, I didn't feel any type of way about it. I was honestly just excited to see my friend. I just felt like, wow, it is genuinely so good to see you. And that's that. And maybe in hindsight, that was a moment that should have said to me, like, wow, I think the truth is that maybe I have moved on, just in a way that's more rooted in my own philosophy of loving relentlessly, allowing myself to look back on things fondly, loving them for what they were, but accepting that the ending was the best, most compassionate choice for both of us, and it's not something that I would undo. You know, it really is such a miracle when I cook something that I really like, so loving that for me. Something I've thought about a good deal in this closing chapter, if you will, is just that it is hard to be someone's lesson. To know and accept that someday we will have both moved on and I will have just been a lesson. Maybe I'll have been someone that allows you to know yourself in a deeper way or reflect in a way that changes you. I mean, we all change each other. He changed me, but sometimes it's hard for me to imagine a future where all we are to each other is just lessons. And sometimes I have felt sad about that, but in my own time, the reflection here has turned into, I hope we're better off for having known each other. I hope he finds someone that he can feel ready for, and I will find someone that can truly match me. I think I'm okay with being his lesson because the existence of his happy ending doesn't deny the inevitability of my own. So if you're debating going no contact, even for a little bit, I would recommend it. I think it is one of the most compassionate things you can do for you at the end of the day. I don't know, it's weird to have a sweet ending. I sometimes feel like I'm still learning exactly how to talk about all of it, but thanks for hearing my ramblings, I guess. I wanted to read you another piece of my poetry. This was one that I wrote a year and some change ago, the month that we stopped talking. It's called Happier Than Ever. Silence invades my solitude. I guess I never knew the comfort until now. I hunger to hear your breath on the other line, to tell you how the sun feast made me feel unbroken. But instead I lay, stomach stretched like taffy, my friends' faces pushed up against the glass, watching the machine churn me, attempt to string me so thin I might regret my yearning. They don't know it's involuntary, that I was born with crumpled love notes in my lungs. I am made from thousands of pinky promises, and you are the one I always intend to keep. Quiet boy, you tremendous thing. I crave to tell you everything when the new moon returns you to yourself. Tender girl, courageous she weeps. It is here that I feel truly resolved. I've only wished to hear your heartbeat.